Welcome to the show, Our Democracy, The CJR Show. In this show, we will discuss questions of democracy, governance, elections, and other topical issues in Guyana and occurrences in countries around the world. We hope the show will be of interest to everyone. So let's begin the show. Good day. Welcome to another in the series Our Democracy, the CJR Show. Today is Saturday, July 5th, 2025. For today's show, I will discuss two topics with you. First, I will discuss reasons why GCOM's elections machinery must be transparent and accountable. And secondly, I will discuss a topic entitled Many Rivers to Cross. So let's dive into the first topic for today. As I pointed out in previous podcasts, the Guyana Elections Commission, GCOM, is a constitutionally mandated body responsible for conducting elections in Guyana. This fact notwithstanding, there are some in our midst who have assumed the responsibility of trying to shape the narrative in respect to the role GCOM should play. The mischief makers constantly harp on spurious claims about what GCOM should or should not do. The politically biased refuseniks spurn the fact that GCOM's integrity and impartiality are paramount to ensuring free and fair elections. Instead, they keep insisting that GCOM is not ready and is incapable to hold free and fair elections in Guyana. The aim is to degrade the role and place of the constitutionally body and its function. As I have repeatedly stated on previous programs, it is counterproductive for the political opposition to keep contradicting GCOM's legitimate actions and decisions, since such irresponsible behavior can directly or indirectly impact the legitimacy of the electoral process, as well as the public and the international community's trust in our electoral process. This brings me to a major question called accountability that has to do with ensuring the integrity of the electoral process. And in this respect, let me emphasize, there should be absolutely no question about GCOM being held accountable for the management of elections in Guyana. Being held accountable would include the following. For example, the just included registration process, accurate compilation of the official list of electors known as the OLE, secure storage and transportation of boxes containing ballots, and the transparent counting and tabulation of votes. Any irregularity or perceived bias on GCOM's part can undermine the credibility of the elections and lead to social unrest, a situation no one wants to happen. Accountability on GCOM's part has a crucial role to play as regards countering the spread of misinformation and disinformation about elections in Guyana, especially at all stages. This falls within the purview of GCOM's responsibility to be accountable to the people or to the electorate in Guyana. In this regard, accountability on GCOM's part is crucial if it is to prove itself worthy of successfully conducting a free and fair election in Guyana. Through proactive communication with stakeholders and the public, fact-checking of information spread publicly by any other news outlet other than GCOM, countering the dissemination inaccurate information about the electoral process is critical for purposes of credibility and accountability. Any failure by GCOM to effectively and rapidly counter misinformation, allowing it to fester and to grow unchecked, and influence and misdirect voters, resulting in confusion or distrust among the electorate. Transparency and openness in GCOM's operation, including its decision-making process, as well as implementation of electoral procedures, are important confidence-building measures that will lend to GCOM's determination to be accountable for its decisions and its actions. Accountability mechanisms, such as regular and verifiable audits and employment of competent and professional personnel, will go a far way to ensuring that GCOM operates with integrity and impartiality. So long as GCOM continues to operate within the framework of relevant constitutional provisions and the Representation of the People Act, ROPA, accountability will be guaranteed, thus ensuring that GCOM is held responsible for any violation of the law or deviations therefrom, especially in respect to legally laid down procedures, in pursuit of its desire to be accountable for its decisions and actions. All contesting political parties, candidates, and electors must be treated fairly and equally within the meaning of the law. Furthermore, in its determination to be transparent and accountable, GCOM should recognize that its decisions and actions will be viewed by its critics and cynics through the ethno and political lens, thus the importance of avoiding missteps that can result in controversy and disagreement. By ensuring transparency and accountability in its conduct of elections, GCOM should continue to promptly and efficiently address grievances, complaints brought to its attention by stakeholders, providing they fall within the ambit of the laws of Guyana. GCOM's push for transparency and accountability is the cornerstone of free and fair elections. The main task is to ensure that come September the 1st, elections are conducted in a manner that is transparent, impartial, in accordance with the law. This includes ensuring that all eligible voters can participate, the votes are counted accurately, that the results reflect the will of the people. Once again, in keeping with tradition, independent election observer missions have been invited to monitor GCOM's activity with a view to providing independent assessment of Guyana's electoral process. The presence of election observer missions in Guyana contribute immensely to ensuring accountability and transparency of elections in 2020. In the interest of transparency and accountability, allegations of failures and missteps by contesting parties against GCOM can be taken to the courts by way of an election petition, where a party or parties can request a judicial review or for remedies, providing they are just claims on the part of the complainant. Now let's move on to the second topic, which is many rivers to cross. Here goes. The political situation in Guyana appears to be in a state of flux, characterized by movement of persons in or out of one party to another. Never before, in 57 years in politics, witnessed a situation similar to the one currently unfolding. It appears as though we are in a season of restless membership of political parties crossing. To those who drew a parallel similarity, the situation in the mid 1970s when several PPP MPs crossed the flow over to the PNC, they are mistaken. Those of us who lived through that period would know the circumstances that gave rise to that situation in the 70s are completely different from today. In addition, there is a completely new generation of politicians who have emerged but have not been affected by the strong ideological and philosophical winds that swept across the nation at that time. Incidentally, I have not heard nor recognized any expression of fear as the fundamental reason why those persons left the PNC and crossed over to the PPP, nor from those who left the AFC to join the PNC, nor from those who left the PNC to form their own political party. Based on what we are reading and hearing from the crossovers and dissidents, it appears as though suggestions they made and ideas they floated for discussion internally either shelved, put to rest, or abandoned. There was no debate in which the flaws of the current leadership reasoning would be brought to their attention, that the casus belli and the consequential au revoir. For onlookers, party politics can be strange and unsettling. It tends to make people wonder why, making them become even more curious and prone to ask some questions, ask some very searching questions, only to be left unanswered. One of the more nuanced, penetrable questions being asked is, what is it? Who is it behind all of this? Maybe the shifts in political allegiances, as well as the formation of new electoral alliances at the national level, have been influenced by events taking place in countries around the world. We don't know. Political leaders of today have, on the one hand, accepted or welcomed the collapse of ideology. On the other hand, that very collapse has multiplied, not reduced, the competitive nature of politics, the leadership and or presidential ambition of the new kids on the political block. That to say, people will not get answers from the tales people tell them, nor from the newspaper editorials, letters to the editor, nor from the stories they read in mainstream social media. The answers are usually born as a result of internal battles fought at a given time and place. Most times, the answers are carried to the graves, crematorium, by those who kept the accused to themselves. For some, certain events like the departure of Mr. Ramkaran and Jonas from Anug would appear strange, but it is not strange because logic and common sense tell us that their departure was to be expected. Moreover, past experience tells us that differences in political ideological views can emerge at the top. When those views clash, diverge, political allegiances and friendships can change too. Perhaps the Gandhian view, quote, friendship that insists upon agreement on all matters is not worth the name. Perhaps that never occurred to any of them. Some say that the explanation offered in respect to political obstruction get under the skin of rank and file party supporters. They go on to say public debates for and against these political happenings can be challenging and confusing, whether they are for good or ill meaning. If it is the latter, then those who are being misled by the false words of charlatans, cheaters, demagogues will end up holding the wrong end. Experience has shown some political parties emerge or re-emerge only in an election season, described as fly-by-night or mushroom party, eventually end up as mere footnotes in our country's political historiography. Over the course of my political life spanning 57 years, I was to listen, to read, sometimes to laugh, how history has consigned some political and presidential aspirants to nothingness, reminding me of the parable of the wedding feast. Many are called, without looking before they leap. The complexities of administering the affairs of government, seemingly unconcerned, the finitude of their lives, their own lives. Certain presidential hopeful, done in the role of gamester or gambler, immerse themselves in crowds, make their heads swim, only to eventually choke, faint, and then disappear. Come, many more like those who would have crossed over, joined with others to dislodge the incumbent, who would have convinced themselves that this is my time, will, after September the 4th, realize that as Jimmy Cliff sang, there are yet many. Brought me to the end of today's show. I do hope you have benefited from what I have to say. Please be advised, return to my podcast every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Podcast will continue on Saturday. Forward to meeting with you once again Wednesday, July 9th, 2025, 5 o'clock. Please do not forget to press the like and share button. Subscribe to the CJR Show. I welcome and encourage you to share your views on the topics I discussed today or any other topic. Thank you.